This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
And the time right now is 4:27 here on your Wednesday morning. We do want to thank you for starting your day with us here in Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. A tragic news out of southern Indiana this morning after a 3-year-old is dead after being left in a hot car. That child was supposed to be dropped off at a daycare on the University of Southern Indiana's campus in Evansville, but unfortunately that child's father forgot the little boy was in the car.
Yeah, and it's just sickening to hear about these stories, and it's happening this time of year when we're getting into these really warm temperatures. The university there offering their condolences. The daycare will be closed today, but this is something you just need to keep in mind because you think it can't happen to you, but you just never know if the child falls asleep and you get distracted. You're on autopilot. We've all been on autopilot going about our routine. So this is just a reminder because we know we're in the middle of July now. Temperatures are hot. They get hot in cars so quickly, and we want to bring in Alyssa and talk about the weather today and what we can expect out there. It's been pretty nice the past 2 days.
Yeah, we've lucked out the past couple days here, but we are going to start to see that humidity build back in. We've noticed that this morning, even in the studio, it's a little bit more humid in here, and we are going to stick with that today. Convection possible this afternoon, which means the possibility of a few thunderstorms, and then we do have a cold front that's going to push through later today. What that's going to do is really take some of that humidity down by tomorrow and also take our temperatures down. So today we'll be in the low 90s in many locations, partly sunny skies with those humid conditions, and then afternoon storms. The good news is tomorrow we're back into the 80s, and we're going to stay there for a couple days before that heat builds back in for the weekend.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thanks. We do want to talk about a construction project that's happening on the west side of town, and our Elena Martella is going to be breaking all this down for you, the detours, because this change is happening today.
Yeah, and this is on top of construction that is already going on, so you might need to re-navigate your way around the Circle City. These are the Kessler Boulevard ramp closures. So we're going to talk a little bit about where this is happening, when this is happening, what you need to know, where you'll be rerouted. Elena Martella breaking all that down for us in just a bit this morning.
And of course, for our RTV6 initiative with Hiring Hoosiers, we're working to connect you to job opportunities. And one of those opportunities is today. A big job fair is kicking off at the State Fairgrounds later this morning. So we're going to tell you about some of the companies that are going to be hiring there. You can see a few listed on your screen and all of the details. You need to know that you can get into this job fair for free. There's also free parking at the State Fairgrounds, so no reason why you shouldn't just stop by if you are looking for a job. We'll break down all the details, plus news, weather, and traffic. That's all coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Hard seeing that happen to someone so young, and I can't imagine that kind of thing.
A southern Indiana college campus mourning the loss of a young boy who died inside a hot car. This morning, how sheriff's officials say the temperature inside the car may have been.
Plus, bikers near Northwest Science Park want to know why there are no barriers or safeguards in place to protect them from oncoming traffic on a new path. Working for you, we're taking their concerns to the city leaders. And
we will determine facts through sound legal principles and investigative techniques, period.
Investigators update the probe into a deadly shooting involving a South Bend police officer this morning, when investigators expect the case to wrap up. It is 4:30 here on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Lauren Casey. Elena Martella here with a look at your traffic and also some construction that's coming up. We're going to get to her in just a minute. But first, we do want to kick things off with our Alyssa Donovan and what we can expect as we step out the door today. And we were saying we can feel the humidity.
You can feel it, yes. Humidity is the key word today. It is a lot more humid out there than it has been the past couple days, and that's going to be the theme throughout the day. The good news is today is probably going to be the most humid day for the next couple days, and then we're going to die off a little bit as we head through the day tomorrow. But very warm start in the 70s at many locations this morning. 75 in Indianapolis, 77 in Muncie, and it is humid out there, so just be aware of as you step outside that it is going to be muggy. Now, most of us are starting dry this morning. Besides that, we do have just this disturbance just off to our west. We could see that sneak into some of those northwest counties this morning, but just a chance of that with those showers and thunderstorms. Those would be brief. The rest of us likely going to stay dry for the first half of the day. So what's going on is we have this warm and humid air mass in place. That's ahead of a cold front that's going to pass through later today. What that's going to do is bring us that potential of some showers and thunderstorms as that mixes together. So we're starting out partly cloudy, and we're going to continue to see that mix of sun and clouds throughout the day. And then by the afternoon, that's when we see that potential for some showers and thunderstorms flaring up. Those will last likely into the early evening, those chances of those possibly lingering overnight for many spots. As we head through the day tomorrow, that cold front is going to pass through, so we're going to start out a little cooler than today, and then it's not going to be as humid. So today's going to be our humid day in the forecast. Warm start in the 70s, and then we are climbing into the low 90s by the afternoon with those chances of thunderstorms.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. Not much happening on the roads right now, just an overnight construction project that's left this eastbound 865 ramp to I-465 closed. To get around it, you can take southbound 465. That'll get you to northbound or southbound I-65 to reach 465. So just keep that in mind if it is part of your drive. Should wrap up pretty soon. Let's take a look at this area right now. You can see some INDOT crews out on the scene. This is 465 at I-865. So there are also some lane restrictions over on 465. You can see that left lane, those side, the right lane on the other side. So just keep that in mind if it is part of your drive. Let's take a turn over to the east side. There were some lane restrictions over on 465 near Fall Creek Road, but it looks like those have been lifted. So as you're making your way out on the roads, should be an easy drive.
Elena, thank you. This morning, the University of Southern Indiana is mourning the loss of a 3-year-old boy who died after being left inside of a hot car. The Vanderburgh County Sheriff says the 3-year-old Oliver Dill was supposed to be dropped off at USI's daycare center, but Dill's father says he forgot. When he came back out to the car at about 2 o'clock, the boy was still in his car seat. The boy's father works for the university but has not been identified. Officials say temperatures inside the car were well above 100 degrees.
I was on my way out here. The temperature in my car was in the mid-90s, so I'm certain that the temperature inside the car, as it sat, went over 100 degrees. So, obviously parents just need to be aware and make sure that, they double-check their cars before they get out.
USI's president issued a statement to the community expressing condolences for the family. He says the university will offer counseling services. The university's daycare center will also be closed today. Advocacy group KidsInCars.org say 55% of hot car deaths are because a parent unknowingly leaves a child in a vehicle. They advise parents to look in the back seat before locking your vehicle every time you park. You can also ask your child care provider to give you a call if your little one hasn't arrived by the scheduled time. They say be especially careful during busy times, schedule changes, and periods of crisis.
At 434, a new trail that leads to a popular Indianapolis park is raising some safety concerns. Riding on the 56th Street Causeway Trail over Eagle Creek Reservoir has some cyclists terrified. Eric Holt says now that the orange construction barrels related to the project have been removed, there are no safeguards to protect people walking and biking. He says this week he and other cyclists witnessed a driver veer onto the trail to make a pass and then get back into traffic.
We waved at him, and he didn't even see us. He didn't even react that we were waving at him to tell him that, hey, you can't do that. And so that's frightening, honestly.
Well, Eric is not alone when it comes to those fears. The Department of Public Works tells RTV6 after several complaints, additional funds will pay for reflective equipment along the white stripe separating the bike lane, that is. Until that happens, DPW has requested temporary construction barrels to be placed along the trail again.
The special prosecutor investigating a South Bend police officer's fatal shooting of a black man says the probe will take, quote, as long as it takes. Last week, a St. Joseph County judge named Ripley County prosecutor Richard Hurdle to oversee the investigation into South Bend Sergeant Ryan O'Neill. He's accused of shooting Eric Logan on June 16th. On Tuesday, Hurdle held a news conference where he is vowing his investigation will be expeditious but complete.
We all want this to move expeditiously and have a resolution. Those involved, those in the room, as well as those in the community. But when I'm asked about a time frame, my response is going to be as long as it takes. Because while we want it to be expeditious, we want it to be complete and we want it to be done right.
South Bend Mayor and Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg has taken time away from the campaign trail to address the shooting of Eric Logan. It's an issue that came up in the first round of Democratic presidential debates.
At 4:36, an initiative to help people stop running from the law will now be offered year-round here in Marion County. The Safe Surrender program was temporarily implemented back in 2016 and 2017, but it's now permanent. A person with a warrant can turn themselves in at familiar places like churches. Pastor Stephen Clay says surrendering to a clergy member is a safer option.
I think the reason why anyone would want to turn themselves in is because the sheriff's office and the IMPD are going to do what they do. They are going to come and they're going to serve those warrants. I've been out on those details. That's not something you want to expose your family, your friends, or your loved ones to.
Well, you can learn more about a program by calling 317-327-SAFE.
The Inspector General is recommending changes at one of the largest state agencies after an investigation into ghost employment allegations. The Inspector General found an Indiana Department of Corrections supervisor used state email related to her essential oils business. The investigation also found several of her subordinates joined the company. However, the Inspector General did not bring a formal complaint against the supervisor before the State Ethics Commission due to insufficient evidence. Instead, the agency recommended the department make changes, including training supervisors on ghost employment and proper use of state property. We reached out to the Department of Correction and are waiting to hear back.
Local students are putting the eye in Fishers. The city is unveiling a new piece of public art, and it's inspired by fourth graders at Harrison Parkway Elementary School. Now, this is on the side of Nickel Plate District Amphitheater Pavilion. Each letter represents something that's significant to Fishers or the state of Indiana. For example, the F shows the face of a tiger, and that represents Fishers High School and their mascot. City leaders say the artwork will connect students to the community for years to come. And here's a reminder that in just a few weeks, students are heading back to the classroom. Students in many communities struggle to get those basic school supplies like the items listed on your screen right now. That's why we're hosting our annual Back to School Drive. It's 1 week from tomorrow. That's July 18th on Monument Circle. We're going to be out there from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. We hope you stop by.
Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta is waking up under pressure for his role in Jeffrey Epstein's plea deal nearly a decade ago. Ahead this morning, the growing calls for him to step down.
Plus, the CDC is on alert for a rare polio-like disease. After the break, the warning signs they want you to be on the lookout for. Alyssa.
And we have a warm and humid start to a muggy day. Temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. Some chances of showers and thunderstorms. Cooler weather on the way. All of the details coming up.
Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the stories expected to make headlines later today. This year's top athletes' performances and achievements will be honored at tonight's ESPY Awards. Comedian Tracy Morgan hosts from Los Angeles. Basketball Hall of Famer Bill Russell will receive this year's Arthur Ashe Courage Award. And the World Cup champion women's soccer team will make an appearance. You can watch the ESPYs right here on RTV6 tonight at 8 o'clock.
And it's going to be a busy day for the U.S. women's soccer team. New York will honor the world champion team with the ticker tape parade through Lower Manhattan's Canyon of Heroes. The parade kicks off at 9:30 this morning. Mayor Bill de Blasio will also give the players a symbolic key to the city. It's New York's first ticker tape parade since the Women's World Cup win in 2015.
President Trump is standing by his Secretary of Labor, Alexander Acosta, over his role in a plea deal that was given to wealthy financer Jeffrey Epstein more than a decade ago. Epstein is now facing new charges of sex trafficking underage girls. As ABC's Trevor Alt reports, now many are calling for Secretary Acosta to step down.
In the face of harsh criticism against Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta, President Trump standing by his secretary for now.
You're talking about a long time ago. And again, it was a decision made, I think, not by him, but by a lot of people.
Top Democrats and multiple presidential candidates calling for Acosta to resign in the wake of the indictment of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, charged with sex trafficking girls as young as 14. Some of the new allegations also part of an old investigation into Epstein from more than a decade ago. ago, where Acosta served as the prosecutor in South Florida. Epstein struck a deal with Acosta, registering as a sex offender and serving just 13 months in county jail. One of Epstein's alleged victims saying she was kept in the dark as the deal was reached.
They were already signing the secret plea agreement with him, you know, and keeping me out of the loop.
Secretary Acosta responding to critics, tweeting, "The crimes committed by Epstein are horrific, and I am pleased that New York prosecutors are moving forward with a case based on new evidence." But a federal judge has determined Acosta and his prosecutors broke the law by not informing the victims about the terms of the prior deal.
I am calling on Secretary Acosta to resign.
President Trump acknowledges he knew Epstein, but the Trump organization saying Epstein was banned from Mar-a-Lago years ago.
I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan.
President Trump says the White House is looking into Secretary Acosta's role in prosecuting Epstein, but he also noted that under Secretary Acosta, the economy is doing very well. Trevor Ault, ABC News, Washington.
Did Marriott pull a bait and switch on customers? The Attorney General of D.C. says yes, and now he's suing the hotel chain. He says they hid the true price of hotel rooms and charged hidden fees so they could make more money. Here's how it works. Some hotels advertise daily room rates that are lower than what you'll actually end up paying. Then when you go to book, you'll see things like resort fees, amenity fees, or destination fees on top of those advertised rates. That way the hotel can make more money without making it look like they've raised their prices. Now the Attorney General wants Marriott to pay customers back and start advertising the true prices of its hotel rooms up front. It is 4:45 right now, and it is a humid one out there, Alyssa.
It is humid, and it's going to stay that way as we head through the day. We have this warm air mass just settled over us. Now, as we head into the afternoon, we are going to see a cold front start to slide in. That's going to bring us the potential of some instability and some thunderstorms. We do have a small risk of severe storms in there, and then we do have that humidity dying off tomorrow with the passing of that cold front, and then we do have high pressure with that, which means tomorrow and Friday are going to be two of the nicer days in the forecast. Today, however, a humid start, 75 degrees here in Indianapolis. Those winds are light out of the southwest, right around 3 miles per hour, so a warm and humid start today. And then you can see that we are mostly quiet in Indiana, but we do have this disturbance just off to our west moving through part of Illinois. We do have the potential of that scooting into some of those northwest counties this morning. Just a brief chance of some showers, possibly a couple thunderstorms for some of those extreme northwest counties. The rest of us going to stay dry for the first half of the day until we see that cold front start to move in. So that warm air mass in place, that's creating that instability, and then we have that cold front that's going to start to move through. That's going to kick up the potential of a line of storms as we head into the early afternoon and early evening hours. So here we are at 9 a.m. this morning, partly cloudy skies throughout the day, so not quite as much sunshine as we saw yesterday. And then we are going to start to see a little bit more cloud coverage just ahead of that potential of some showers and thunderstorms. That line should kick up right between 2 and 5 o'clock, and then we'll continue to see just the potential of a few showers and thunderstorms as we head into the early afternoon. Today, it's going to be a warm day as well. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and low 90s. Now, we do have a marginal risk of some severe storms. That's mainly over northwest counties and into Indianapolis. The main threat with that is going to be the potential of some damaging winds and then some heavy downpours as well. Now, as that cold front passes, temperatures dropping way off tomorrow. So we're 90 today, and then we are into the mid 80s for your Thursday and Friday. High pressure is going to take over behind that cold front, which means we are going to see sunny skies with those conditions too. So the next 2 days looking really good. Just have to get through today and the humidity and those chances of showers and storms. Starting in the 70s this morning, we'll be in the mid 80s this afternoon, climbing into the low 90s by the late afternoon, and then we are going to continue to see those temperatures drop off Thursday and Friday. Those are the days to get outside, and then by the weekend that humidity and heat builds back in. Saturday is going to be sunny and hot, and then Sunday we have again the potential of some showers and storms in the afternoon with that convection kicking up, and then we are staying in the 90s for the start of the work week.
All right, thanks Alyssa. Here's a look at I-465 at Michigan Road up on the north side. Traffic's moving along just fine for your drive. Right now, you can see the roads are dry as well, which is great news if you are heading out the door. So let's take a look at the map. Beginning today, we're going to have some closures. The ramps to the Kessler Boulevard North Drive Bridge over 38th Street and I-65 are going to close. Now, this closure shouldn't last more than 60 days, but there's a pretty confusing detour routes. You can use 30th Street as one of your main arteries to get around these closures to get to and from Kessler Boulevard. But just keep that in mind. Again, it begins today. Let's take one last look of the roads. I-65 at I-465 on the south side. Everything's moving along just fine. Looks like a great drive if you're heading out the door.
Elena, thank you. Well, the CDC is alerting doctors to be on the lookout for a polio-like illness that tends to peak in the late summer and early fall. So far this year, there have been 11 confirmed cases of acute flaccid myelitis in 8 states. That's out of 57 patients under investigation. The CDC says acute flaccid myelitis is a rare but serious condition that affects the nervous system, specifically the area of the spinal cord called gray matter. Experts estimate it affects fewer than 1 or 2 in a million children each year in the United States. The agency says there are no known treatments or ways to prevent it.
New this morning, dentists are starting to research a possible link between vaping and tooth decay. One dentist who also does research at Stony Brook University in New York is leading the effort. He noticed cases where people with healthy teeth would come in with extreme decay in enamelware after they started vaping. Now, there isn't much research on vaping and oral health, but existing studies link 3 most common ingredients in e-cigarettes to cavities, gum disease, and tooth loss.
Coming up, a Chicago area nun is on her way to tonight's ESPY Awards. Just after the break, the incredible moment that got her there.
And we are smack dab in the middle of summer, but neighbors on the city's east side are still dealing with this winter's potholes. Ahead at 5, we're taking their concerns to city leaders. But first,
I'm Vinny Politan. Coming up today on the all-new Court TV, we have reached closing arguments in the nanny abduction and murder trial. Who made a better case? How much of an impact did Scott Nelson's testimony and his outbursts have on the jury? We're live in Orlando as 12 men and women decide whether or not Scott Nelson lives or dies. That's coming up today on Court TV.
Don't forget, you can watch all the new Court TV live right on your mobile device by visiting CourtTV.com. We'll be right back after the break.
RTV6 is working for you.
Welcome back. Cat lovers, it's your day to celebrate. Today is National Kitten Day, and it doesn't get much cuter than these lovable felines. Although, let's be honest, for owners of kittens, every day is a holiday, right? But if you don't have your own furry little furball to cuddle with, rather, you can head on over to a shelter to adopt one, or you can even foster a kitten. You can start volunteering with a kitten rescue if bringing one into your home is not an option. Just don't forget the catnip.
Last August, Sister Mary Jo Sobiak threw an unorthodox first pitch at a White Sox game. She became a viral sensation overnight. Check it out. She bounces the ball on her bicep, winds up, and throws a perfect pitch. What Sister Mary Jo didn't expect was to be nominated for an ESPY Award. The theology teacher is no stranger to sports. She's been playing since high school. But Sister Mary Jo says this moment is so much bigger than that.
This has been something countercultural that has just brought hope and inspiration and a belief for people that they too can make a difference.
Amen. Fans can still vote for the best viral sports moment. Voting closes when the ESPY Awards start tonight at 8 o'clock.
She's so cool.
Yeah.
Love
her
that.
And Sister Jean from Loyola. Yeah, Chicago
Great
has some good nuns. Yeah.
All right, well, it's a boy. No, it's a girl. Wait, it is fire. Queensland, Australia police here just released this video of a gender reveal gone wrong. Look at that. The driver was performing a burnout and the smoke in his stunt was blue, indicating, yeah, they're expecting a boy. But that's until it turned bright red. A little confusing there. That's because it's fire. This incident happened last April, and police confirmed that no one here was hurt, thankfully. But they did charge the 29-year-old driver with dangerous operation of a motor vehicle.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
they should have just stuck to the good old, like, slicing the cake
Slice
and
the
seeing
cake,
what
the balloon,
color was
yeah.
inside. Yeah. Pop the balloon.
Yeah.
Those are all very much safer options.
I think so, too.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the weather.
So humid today. We've been saying it all morning, and it is going to be humid throughout the day. We have temperatures climbing into the low 90s. For many of us, spot showers and storms this afternoon. Very small chance of those becoming severe. If we do see severe storms, potential for some strong winds and heavy downpours. Tomorrow, not as humid, so that's the good news. It's really just going to be humid today, and then things die off. Thursday and Friday are going to be the nicest days in the forecast with temperatures in the 80s with sunshine, and then that heat and humidity returns for the weekend.